going to run for president for another 4 years. Obviously, the PSA exam is not 100% accurate, and I've never met a doctor that doesn't say you needed to do the PSA exam and also have the physical exam as well. I just find it hard to believe that any White House physician wouldn't say, okay, well, what my doctor and what every other doctor says, which is, okay, we've done the PSA test and that's fine, but at least once a year, we need to do a physical exam. Again, if you're just talking about a 78-year-old guy that is not running the free world, that's one thing. But if you're a White House physician and you have any man over 40 years old, are you not going to at least say, hey, once a year, like every other physician says, once a year, we need to do a physical exam and check? Because this is like one of the leading causes, one of the leading sicknesses for men over 40.
Yeah, I mean, Joe, I think 100%. And, did they do a digital rectal exam to assess his prostate? Again, typically that's done in the presence of symptoms. To your point, he's the leader of the free world. Did they do it and not characterize it? It's hard to know. We're speculating here. I would say in an abundance of caution, probably be holistic and comprehensive. That would make sense. It is interesting to note that President Trump's, President Obama's, and President Bush II, in their most recent physicals, in their terms of office, obviously 2025 for President Trump, did comment on their PSA levels. And so they got screened while in office and they commented on it. It's not easy to access the most recent ones from President Biden. You can read the summary articles. I couldn't access it on the archive site on the White House just before I came on. But according to those that were able to, there is not a report of a PSA test on the most recent physical that was read out for President Biden's last year in office. And so it's to say what was done, what was not done. You and I would be speculating, but the other three most recent occupants of the White House had it drawn and it was reported out.
Be leaders ourselves.
Black women are being used by the Democrat Party.
All of these socioeconomic indicators are in the negative, particularly for Black people.
They want mob rule. When Trump was in office, please somebody tell me, what act of dictatorship did he perform?
She had Donald Trump's hair on top of her head. And she's sitting here talking about brown girl this, brown girl that.
Because she's a Black woman.
They would ask her how to spell her first name and clap like sea monkeys.
Oh, yeah.
Whoa.
What's up, everybody, and happy Monday. This is our Monday Night Live, and it's time for Pop and Politics. I'm KJ. Let me introduce you to my co-hosts. Of course, we have Nicole Bennett.
Hey, y'all.
All right. Shelly E. And back with us, as he is every Monday, Tyrone Keys of Soldiers of Finance right here on YouTube. How are you all doing tonight?
Doing well.
Fantastic.
Great.
170 proud. Let's go, gang. Let's go.
Yes, we did. Right, Nicole? We hit it, folks. Thanks to you all. We hit 170,000 subs during our last live. And we want to keep, again, we're on the road to 500,000 subs by the end of this year. We got a lot of ways to go, but we're going to do it with your help. So before we light this fire, we got a lot to light. Do your part. Tap that thumbs up. Smash that subscribe button and turn on your notifications. We're live here on YouTube and Rumble. And if you're on the go, catch us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify under Pop and Politics. We love our chat. We shout out every super chat. So drop your thoughts, show your love, and join the conversation that the mainstream media wishes didn't exist. They have been trying to shut us up now for 4 years. This is not just a podcast. This is a movement of God-fearing, truth-seeking, America-loving people that value freedom. Stand with us and subscribe so we can amplify this rallying call for freedom. All right, everybody, let's set it off. So much to get to tonight. Before we do, I want to acknowledge our first super chat of the night. Kung Fu CJ with the $5 super chat says, hello, my pop and politics family. Hit that like button and share. Yes, indeed. Please do so. Hit that like button as you guys come in. It really helps to get our video out to more people here on YouTube. And that is our aim tonight. All right. So we're going to get right into it. You guys saw the video at the top of the show. Former President Joe Biden likely had prostate cancer the entire time he was president. Doctors and cancer experts told the Daily Caller. According to them, the 46 POTUS received a diagnosis of an aggressive form of prostate cancer Friday, which spread to his bones. Biden's personal office announced Sunday. Guys, we talked about this on Christian Conservative on Sunday when it broke. Definitely check out that broadcast if you haven't done so. According to the Daily Caller, it's not credible that we are hearing of this metastatic disease for the first time because he was having difficulty urinating and they found it. That just doesn't track. Dr. Stephen Quay, a physician, scientist, and member of the American Association for Cancer Research, told the Caller. So, Shelley, what are your thoughts on this? Do you think that's actually what occurred, or do you think it just happened?
Of course it did not just happen. What just happened is it came out. That's what just happened. And so now they are scrambling to make it make sense. It doesn't make it make sense. It doesn't at all. The PSAs, they unfortunately they are adding up for Biden, but the numbers are not adding up for the rest of the world.
Yeah, Nicole, doctors apparently found the initial cancer, a nodule on his prostate in mid-May after Biden was having trouble urinating, Biden's office said in their statement. If advanced Republican of North Carolina Rep. Greg Murphy, who is also a board-certified urologist, told the Caller, nodules don't pop up in 4 months, Murphy said, and cancer generally does not appear de novo out of 4 months also. Your thoughts?
Well, listen, I've said this a million times today. The president of the United States has the same HIPAA rights that you do as a citizen. So he likely had been diagnosed way back when he told the world that he had cancer, when he was making that speech in Delaware at the foot of the bridge. But it's his diagnosis to share when he chooses to share it. This is something that former presidents were happy to share because their PSA numbers were within normal limits. When you have something that's, wrong with you health-wise, it's personal. And if you want to share it, you can. Now, there are people who push back and say, well, he's the president, he should tell us. No, he shouldn't. He's a human being, and he held it on for whatever reason. His family held it back for whatever reason. And yes, it's unfortunate. Yes, it's incredibly scary what could have happened. God forbid, if he would have passed away in office, there would have been investigation on investigation and that kind of thing. But we do have to remember, outside of what he does for a living, he has the same rights and responsibilities as any other American citizen.
Yeah, that's an interesting take. Tyrone, what's your response to that? Do you feel as though he is a citizen as everyone else, as Nicole said, but do you feel he had a obligation to tell the American people about this diagnosis?
Well, I think this is the first time I'll be disagreeing with Nicole. I think that, well, it might be the second time, but I think that, a lot of this is exempted for the person who has a responsibility to carry around nuclear codes in his head. Because look, we can make the same argument for his cognitive ability, right? We definitely need to know about that. So to the extent that he has an issue physically that may impair his ability to do the job, we're his employers, right? In essence. And at the end of the day, depending on what truckers, for example, they have to submit to examinations on an annual basis and share that information with their employer. So I find this unfortunate because there was a deep web of folk that were willing to cover up what was really going on physically and cognitively with Joe Biden. Now they're going to try to blame it. Whoever the doctor is, he's going to be the fall guy. Okay. They're already setting him up for that. His wife is pure evil. And now we see the setup. He gets reelected, but for that disastrous debate, maybe. And then he hands it over to Kamala Harris, at this point. But I do agree with Nicole that Joe Biden has known he had cancer for 2 years now. He said it. We thought it was a gaffe, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
Well, he has had cancer before. He's had several, different cancers. He had skin cancer before, and I think he's had an aneurysm, aneurysm before. So he's had cancer, a history of cancer, which already makes him more likely, a higher statistic to have cancer again or a different cancer. Tyrone, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to back up Nicole a little bit with the HIPAA thing. While I agree that he's had this cancer longer than a week or whatever, 2 months,
3 months.
Years.
He has HIPAA rights, and had the cancer been known or made public, there is no need. There's no reason to suspect that outside of his dementia that he would not have been able to still run the country. So even if we had known about it whenever, 8-10 years ago, there's a very, very good chance that he would have been successfully treated, with dementia notwithstanding.
Okay, so we're going to be split on this because I 110% agree with Tyrone. I am so furious about this. Remember the COVID cover-ups. First, they said the virus didn't come from the lab. Then the truth came out. Then they said masks and lockdowns were science until the damage was done. The so-called experts, the media, and the Democrats lied to control the narrative, not to protect the people. Now it's Biden's health. Once again, they told us everything was fine while the president was battling an aggressive cancer and visibly declining right before our eyes. They mocked and silenced anyone who dared to question it. The truth always comes out, but only after the damage is done. These people cannot be trusted. This isn't just about lies. It's about national security. Our enemies 100%. Our enemies were watching while the American people were being played. This is a national security issue.
That's a different issue that we agree on what you said. 100%. What you're saying does not change anything that we said with what you said. So it doesn't. He still had we known about the prostate cancer whenever it was diagnosed or whatever he had it, first was told he had it, it would not have compelled him to tell us because there would not have been a security threat based on prostate cancer.
Well, wait a minute now. Are you guys saying that there are conditions that, this rule that you all have, these HIPAA guidelines, are you saying that sometimes there will be conditions where they should tell us? Some, because the HIPAA rules.
When it's a national security, component or national security risk. I'm saying prostate cancer in and of itself is not a national security risk.
Okay, because
what KJ said, the rest of what you said, I agree with. Anything else, the dementia, the cognitive decline, the cover up from his administration or his handlers, absolutely. But prostate cancer in and of itself is not a security risk.
Okay.
Well, that goes against what the doctors are saying. Go ahead.
What you all are saying is that you're looking at this from a personal, subjective basis because HIPAA doesn't say anything about national security.
It does. Yes, it does. In regards to the president,
I don't think so.
In regards to the president, there are times when it can be disclosed, if you will, when there is a national security interest. We agree on what you all said. There's nothing that we disagree on except to say that prostate cancer it would be no different if he had, whatever, some other kind of cancer. He can choose to tell us, like he told us with his skin cancer years ago, and when he had the aneurysm years ago. He can choose to tell us that the aneurysm is a little different because that affects his brain,
his cognitive ability,
which can change his cognition.
So again, there's been
prostate cancer can be fatal.
Of course,
not only can it be fatal,
but
not only can it be
fatal. When it's caught early, generally speaking, it's very treatable.
But
Well,
they're saying in this case, it's metastasized to his bones.
Exactly.
This is not first stage.
Exactly. It has metastasized, but it's still not a security risk in and of itself. I'm saying.
We don't beat a dead horse, but if the president dies in office, that's a hell of a national security issue.
It is. It's not just political deception. It's a national security risk. Look, the world's most powerful office cannot be occupied by someone whose physical condition is being covered up like a PR crisis. Foreign adversaries watch our leadership for weakness. Not only that, but as you mentioned, multiple doctors that are specialists in this field have said that certain medications, certain treatments of this prostate cancer can affect his cognitive abilities. This was a national security risk.
This is what I'm saying is, had he disclosed it when he was first diagnosed, not now that it's metastasized. So, like all illnesses have it grows or it's healed or something happens. There's an intervening thing. What I'm saying is, if when he was first diagnosed, and we don't know when that date was, we're never going to know. We're going to have to wait for Jill to die for somebody to tell us what really happened. But had he sought the kind of treatment that he needed at that moment, that's not a national security risk. Ronald Reagan got shot, right? On public TV, everybody saw boom. But for the next 2 weeks, we didn't hear anything else about Ronald Reagan getting shot. Just the president was shot. And all this about John Hinckley Jr. And they focused on that. But they didn't go and say, well, the president has anemia. The president has this. They didn't give you all the breakdown. What I'm saying is Joe Biden, if he only had prostate cancer, would have been a good PR move to say, the president of the United States has prostate cancer, and this is how you beat it. Men, go out, get your PSA, get tested, that kind of thing. But they didn't. They did exactly what you said, KJ. They lied about it. They swept it under the rug. And this goes back to my thing about elder abuse. Somebody should be looking into who did this to this man. Somebody should be investigating what they've done to a former president of the United States, but at that time, a sitting president of the United States.
And he may not even know he has it. I mean,
they're not even talking about that. They're so busy looking for a doctor to blame. No one's looking at the real story. When did we know that Joe had prostate cancer? Who did not seek the appropriate treatment? Because these oncologists are right. This is not something that happens overnight. You don't wake up stage 4. That's not how that happens. No. So how long did we know this? They're saying about 4 years. So they knew before he was sworn. Before he was sworn, and lied about it. And now he's demented and has prostate cancer.
And he probably doesn't even know.
Yeah, and he probably still thinks he's good.
Oh yeah, it's a total mess. And as you said, Tyrone, that it looks like they are going to try to blame the doctors because again, this is just a blood test. And the way that they have been talking, Biden has been doing these, physicals. I mean, he should be the most watched over physical in the world. I mean, the man is not only was he president of the United States, but he was an elderly man. So that they were watching his physical and things like that ongoing. And so this was a cover up and down. I want to acknowledge our super chatters.
He brought his own doctor to the way. We got world-class physicians. He brings his own doctor from Delaware, of all places.
Yeah, you're right. We have some super chatters here. Tijuana Border Jumper with the $5 super chat says, I'm late, but always here to support. Hi, Nicole, KJ, Shelly, E, and Tyrone. Thank you so much, Tyrone, Tijuana. Kung Fu CJ with the $5 super chat says, dementia can accelerate when you have another condition or underlying condition.
Without question.
You're right. Yeah. All right. Tijuana Border Jumper again with the $5 super chat says, to me, Nicole has the last word. All right.
Thank you,
well, she certainly has it right here. And we are going to move on to this next clip. So as you guys know, Jake Tapper is set to release his book tomorrow. It is coming out tomorrow. He co-wrote the book with a gentleman from Axios, I believe, or Politico. And he is claiming that he has, insider information about President Biden's decline, and he's actually set to interview with Megyn Kelly tomorrow. This is going to be fireworks, folks. You guys better tune in. Because that's going to be a great show. We are going to react to that tomorrow on the All American Talk show at 6:30. You guys got to check it out at All American Talk right here on YouTube. They are going to react to that interview, and it is going to be it's going to be fireworks. But here is Jake Tapper pushing back against Lara Trump for talking about Biden's cognitive decline. Take a look. This is clip 2.
Every time he comes on stage or they turn to him, I'm like, Joe, can you get it out? Let's get the words out, Joe. You kind of feel bad for him.
How do you think it makes little kids with stutters feel when they see you make a comment like that?
First and foremost, I had no idea that Joe Biden ever suffered from a stutter. I think what we see on stage with Joe Biden, Jake, is very clearly a cognitive decline.
Okay.
That's what I'm referring to. It makes me uncomfortable.
You are
to
no
watch somebody on stage
that's so amazing. It's so amazing to me that
try and figure out an answer.
A cognitive decline.
Well, when you're trying to tell me that what I was suggesting was
I think that you were mocking his stutter. Yeah, I think you were mocking his stutter, and I think you have absolutely no standing to diagnose somebody's cognitive decline. I would think that somebody in the Trump family would be more sensitive to people who do not have medical licenses diagnosing politicians from afar. Plenty of people have diagnosed your father from afar, and I'm sure it offends you. Your father-in-law from afar. I'm sure it offends you. You don't have any standing to say.
I'm not diagnosing him. What I'm saying, Jake,
you just talked
is
about
that
a cognitive decline.
That Joe Biden
I have one last
struggling
question for you, Laura. You can't
times on stage, and it's very concerning to a lot of people that this could be the leader of the free world.
Okay,
that is all I'm saying. I genuinely feel sorry for Joe Biden.
I appreciate it. I'm sure.
Wow, what a gutter opportunist he is. So now, after the election, he has decided to put out a book about Biden's cognitive decline, when during the campaign and election season, he shut down anyone who ever brought it up. Shirley, what's your response to that exchange?
I think both were right. Both two things can be true. I think she was mocking him, and I also think Jake Tapper is full of shit. I think he's a Jake Fapper or faker or whatever. But I think she was mocking him, trying to be funny. Whatever, I don't care. But he's the epitome of arrogance and this eruditeness that he's so above and beyond. But you're right. This book will go on the shelves. I think at midnight, the clock strikes 12, and the pumpkin is going to appear, and everybody's going to buy his book, read it, whatever. I'm not trying to put down his book, but how smug and arrogant can you be to only 2 years later or so to come out with this tell-all, and then you're going to take this road that you're innocent, hands off, the media is totally innocent, and blaming it on his handlers and keepers to a large degree, yes, but the media, you are complicit as well. Get away from me.
Complicit. I mean, goodness, they were actually in a cover up in regards to this. I want to get your thoughts on that, Nicole. That exchange there, reaction.
Listen, Tapper is an opportunist. He's a snake. You're right, S-Files. He's a little prick. You're right, Laura. Allie. He's all of those things. He was the main one, a ringleader, a leader in the cover-up. But all of these books are going to come out because this is what Democrats do. They set up a false premise and then they make money on it. How many books about COVID did they write? The Russiagate, Russia. Everybody gets rich, and he's just the first one to take a bite out of the apple. He ought to be ashamed of himself, but he doesn't know what that feels like, because you actually have to have a soul to feel remorse for something that you've done. And he's a soulless little spineless little jellyfish of a man. I don't want to seem like I'm angry at Jake Tapper. I'm a little angry at Jake Tapper. As a journalist, he ought to know better. He should have known better. All of these people who perpetrated this fraud, all the way from the scamdemic, all the way down through Joe Biden, should feel like trash on the floor. They really should.
They should.
Yeah,
But
Tyrone, what are your thoughts?
So there's that.
Yeah. What are your thoughts there, Tyrone?
Sure. First of all, Joe Biden never had a stutter. That's a damn lie.
I know. Thank you.
Maybe when he was
that's why she was talking about it, because he didn't have a stutter before.
He never had a stutter. When he said he didn't want his children going to school in a racial jungle, he said it without hesitation. Okay, when he was working with Strom Thurmond to resegregate the public school system, he was up there talking about corn pop and all that other BS. No stutter. Joe Biden never had a stutter. Okay, it was just covering for him because they knew he had a cognitive decline, and the media, by and large, is nothing more than the Democrat Party information wing, or propaganda wing. That's all they are. As far as Jake Tapper, look, CNN is a sinking ship, thank God. And it's sinking slowly, and these dumbass rats don't have good sense enough to, well, I guess you can't jump ship when the only other ship is also sinking, MSNBC. So, they're in a slow motion car wreck. Good for them. More and more Americans are, choosing to watch programs like this. And I know I don't even have to see the analytics of the Pop and Politics channel to know that you're beating CNN. So the proof is in the pudding.
Yeah, I want to acknowledge our super chatters here, folks. Thank you all so much. We really appreciate you. As you all come in, please hit that like button. Hit that like button. It really helps to get our video out to a larger audience. Thank you all so much. All right, Sledgehammer with the $10 super chat says, yes, thank you. Hello, girls. Just support. Imagine if our president had 2 terms back to back. Not with the dinosaur we had in the office. This country and all Americans, no matter skin color, we would had better life. Yeah. Thank you so much, Sledgehammer. Yes, indeed. All right. Let me see here. Do we have something else? Okay. Yeah, I agree with all of you. I mean, after years of gaslighting the American people, mocking our concerns, and labeling anyone who asks honest questions as conspiracy theorists or ageist, now they're publishing a book and pretending they were always in the know. And did you see, she wouldn't even let Laura Trump finish her sentence. He was so disgusted that she called out the cognitive decline. He wanted no parts of that then. So again, he's not a journalist. He's a con artist. And the same that protected Biden and shamed us for calling out what we all saw with our own eyes is now trying to cash in on the very decline they helped cover up. It's disgusting. And it really upsets me. It really does.
KJ, real quick, these people that go on, these Trump supporters that go on TV with these people, they need to develop stronger skins. Okay. Oh, yeah. This mamby-pamby, go along. No, Laura Trump, say Biden didn't have a damn stutter. If he's going to put you off of their airwaves, give him a real reason to.
There you go.
Okay? They got to stop dealing with these people with kid gloves.
Right. You're right. You are right. You're right, Tyrone. I mean, they say we're supposed to keep the decorum, and I guess you can still speak, you can be respectful, but we got to give it back to them just as much as they give it.
That's right.
There's not so much decorum when he's not letting you get a word out edgewise.
Right.
TV time, your window's shrinking quick. You got to hit quick and get on out of there. And Laura is a fantastically lovely person. And I'm sure she didn't want to do anything that would have, made the RNC look a little iffy or stepping out of line and that kind of thing. But there is a place for that kind of behavior. And I think that was the place. He's trying to rush you off the camera, girl. Take your shot. Shoot your shot.
Yeah, we have another, we actually have a Cash App, folks, from Robert, the $10 Cash App. Thank you so much.
Robert.
Thank you. Yes, indeed, folks. That's another way. If you want to donate to us to help us with this conservative content, you can certainly send a Cash App to Be More Pop Stars. We should have it there to pull up. Production can do that. Also, Tijuana Border Jumper says those books will end up in the bargain bin. I hope so. I really hope so.
Me too.
Because again, they're trying, he wants a paycheck and a Pulitzer, and he deserves consequences, not book deals. So I really hope that this does end up in the bargain bin. All right, we have another super chatter here. So that's Chantha says, who's running the country if Biden did not sign? Treason. Yeah,
absolutely. Ask that question.
Yes, indeed. Talking about the Autopen situation. So yeah, and we've been talking about that on this show also. So yeah.
You have to say, to our credit, patting ourselves on the back, yes. Even before the 2024 elections, I think up until 23, 24 time, on our show, we were asking who's running the country. We were concerned because we could see the cognitive decline. So yes, I'm going to give us all kudos because we were asking that long before 2025.
Absolutely. We were asking that. We were talking about asking questions about the scamdemic, about the jab. We were asking questions, and we were providing different insight on that as well. You are so right, Shelley. You are absolutely right. And speaking of this insight and what we saw and speaking truth about it, take a look at this. I mean, this has a different kind of look now that we know that he was struggling. Former President Biden was struggling with prostate cancer. This is him in an interview on MSNBC with Nicole Wallace, clip 3.
Well, and the ones that didn't vote for your bills but run on them.
That's right.
Mr. President, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate
it's great to have you.
Thank you.
Don't go anywhere. It's a very exciting day around here. We'll have reaction and analysis to everything we just heard.
That tickles me every time I see it. Every single time I see it.
I mean, to me, I think about, because they talk about all of these side effects of prostate cancer, depending on where he was in the disease. I mean, he can have incontinence. It can be very painful at times, and I'm thinking maybe that's what was going on there, because it looked like he had something in his pants.
Prostate cancer. That was dementia. Cognitive decline. Okay, that was not prostate cancer. I don't even care if he was on prostate cancer medication and they tried to cover it up. That was not prostate cancer. To his demented credit, she did say, "Thank you for coming on." And usually when you shake someone's hand and thank him, I mean, in general circumstances, it's time to go, right? He just didn't understand. He didn't understand that the cameras were still on. You don't get that had nothing to do with prostate cancer.
He looked like he was ready to get up out of there. I mean, he looked like he had pooped his pants.
Think about this, though. Think about where we are. That was the president of the United States, and we're here. No, that wasn't the prostate cancer. That was the dementia.
It was.
I know. What's sad about it is that as a nation, there are going to be a small number of the people who actively participated in this cover-up who are going to be like Rob P said in the chat, trying to cash out. Listen, I did my part. I'm going to take the hit in social circles, but I'm going to make a couple million writing books, telling things that, probably are 50% chance true, but who's going to check them? Because everybody else who's holding a secret is writing a book too. There's so many books coming. It is just like everybody's saying, give me my piece of the pie. The sad news is like Tyrone said, this was the president of the United States. Allegedly the most powerful man in the world, had no idea of sense, time, and place, that he was sitting in a television studio recording a live interview. Thank God they didn't have him mic'd up to anything, and he just got up and walked out of the room. He had no idea where he is.
Now, let me ask you ladies something, because I know you said you were talking about the HIPAA laws, and of course, as you mentioned, he had no obligation to tell the American people of his disease. But what about his cabinet? What about people who may have known or were on the inside and knew what was going on, knew about the diagnosis of his prostate cancer, and knew about his cognitive decline? Do you think as Americans, they had an obligation to tell someone?
Not necessarily, no. I'm sure they knew. Don't get me wrong. I think many people knew.
Now, I'm not talking about his physicians. I'm talking about, like you said,
like Tyrone said, the doctor takes the blame. Yeah. They are not obligated. They would have been in real big legal trouble had they done so. That again, I believe many people knew. Okay, maybe Joe Biden knew, or he may not even know now. But no, they do not. Unfortunately, or fortunately, whatever. There's a limited time when HIPAA, particularly as it relates to the president and or vice president, can be broken. Very
what about your thoughts on that, Tyrone? Just thinking of, what we call patriots, where you see something going on, you feel like it's a detriment or a danger to the country. Do you feel like someone should have spoken up?
Yes, because listen, now not to the media,
right?
But inside that circle, think about this. The president is the commander-in-chief of the United States military. Okay. Unbeknownst to us, there are military actions going on all around the world every day of the week, okay, that require you to get up at 2 a.m., 4 a.m., all right, stay up for 12 hours, all right. So that's the president of the United States has to have a certain type of stamina. Hillary Clinton was right when she says, what are you going to do when you get that 3 a.m. phone call? Now, Biden, we think of 3 a.m., we know what he's doing. We know that it's going to take at least a half an hour for him to get cognate, to understand he exists. Okay. So to the extent that he has everything that may come with prostate cancer, yeah, I think that is something that the cabinet needs to know. And especially when you are going into another election cycle, okay, the people, we need to be able to evaluate his stamina, because that's a hard job. So again, I know we disagree on this point, but HIPAA be damned. You're not out here. You didn't just get, a skin graft over at Sinai, okay, and you don't want to tell your employer about it. No, this is the president of the United States.
Yeah, and my question is, because then I guess the opposite of it is people using the Autopens and making decisions for the president. That's so right. if we're not going to be patriots and stand up for it and say, hey, this isn't right, this is not fair to the American people, then what they do, they cover up and they sign these Autopens and they make decisions on his behalf. This is what we've had for the last 4 years.
Everybody here, and I asked the audience, who do you believe was more likely running the war in Ukraine, Victoria Nuland or Joe Biden? And most people don't even know who the hell Victoria Nuland is, okay? But it was her. It wasn't Joe Biden, okay? Every Mayorkas was running immigration, not Joe Biden. Sweet Pete was running, things that should have had purview of the president in terms of transportation, but he wasn't. He was. Joe Biden wasn't. So that's what we're dealing with here when we get an addled president like Joe Biden.
I mean, not only that, but this is the party that pushed Jimmy Carter out on life support, covered up Biden's health decline. It's the same party. Look at this man. Do you remember that?
Oh, I remember. Yes. It was absolutely disgusting. I was horrified. Horrified for his family. That was so obscene. Oh my gosh, I was horrified for him. He's not my favorite president by any stretch of the imagination, but he is a former president, and he deserves so much more respect.
That was inhuman. That was inhuman.
That was so completely talking about he wants to come and see a plane. He's barely alive.
He damn well he did not vote for himself.
No, but this is what they do. They don't care about human dignity, human life, this country for that matter. They are driven by power. That's what it is. I want to acknowledge our super chatters here, folks. Thank you all so much. Let's see here. We have, all right. I thought we had a super chat.
We did. We have Orlando.
Okay.
And Concrete CJ. Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Orlando Alegwe or Alege?
All right, there we go. Kung Fu CJ says, if you are a veteran being deployed, the president must be on point. Yes, that's with our $5 super. He brought up a good point too. I was with a couple of ladies over the weekend. Good, blue blood, hearted of American moms. And they, are military people. And she was talking about how her son is about to, turn 18. And she's so happy that President Biden is out of the White House because he's always wanted to join the military, but did not feel comfortable being in the military under the former president, just because of all this stuff going on. And so, I mean, this has real repercussions, real impact on the country. We will continue to follow this story. Not also breaking news out today. Dilbert creator and outspoken commentator Scott Adams revealed he has stage 4 prostate cancer, which has also spread to his bones. This is him detailing it. Take a look. Clip 9.
Some of you have already guessed, so this won't surprise you at all. But I have the same cancer that Joe Biden has. So I also have prostate cancer that has also spread to my bones. But I've had it longer than he's had it. Well, longer than he's admitted having it. So my life expectancy is maybe the summer. I expect to be checking out from this domain sometime this summer. Now, having watched how people treated Joe Biden when the diagnosis came, people are really cruel. They're really bad. And I was expecting, and of course it's going to happen, people are going to say it's because I got the COVID shot. There's no indication that makes a difference. People are going to say it's something I brought on myself. They're going to say it's because I lived a bad life. I don't know. But people are going to be really, really terrible. So I wanted to reduce the number of months or weeks. I don't know what I have left, weeks or months. I wanted to reduce the time that people were being terrible to me online, because it's going to be kind of hard to spend any time online. All of my enemies, in other words, people who are Democrats mostly, are going to come after me pretty hard. So, I have to put up with that. But I'm ready for that. You should know, well, if you didn't already know, I am unusually mentally tough. So while this could be much worse, for some people, I suppose, I'm handling it quite well. The pain is tough. I mean, really tough. But the mental part, I got that under control. And I can see in the comments that some of you are having a tough time with it. But remember, nothing lasts forever. Nothing lasts forever. So I hope you don't mind that I hid it from you. I wanted as many normal months as I could get. Now, many of you are going to ask me a lot of questions. You're going to say,
wow. So, and again, and we talked about this on Sunday, but I want to give we give our heart and our prayers go out to him and President Biden. I mean, nobody wants to see anyone ill and in any type of pain and discomfort, because from what I have been reading, prostate cancer, when it does go to the bones, can be very painful. So again, our thoughts and prayers go out to both of them. What's your reaction to that? His announcement, Tyrone?
Well, I remember when Kevin Samuels passed away. Vivica Fox mocked his passing, and I'm like, lady, are you aware that you're mortal? That this is the fate that we all share, no matter how much money we have, creed, color, religion, etc. We're all going to die. As he said, nothing is permanent. So when you get into a cosmic event, like the end of this experience in this realm, I think a lot of stuff, I think it's a time for contemplation of the brevity of life and reflection on whether or not you are making the most of the time that you have left, which is indeterminate. That's the other factor. So I do, it's true. A lot of people say, well, Biden's an older gentleman. Yeah, that's true. But that does not relieve his family The man's got grandkids. Whatever I may think of Hunter Biden, it is that he and his father do seem very close, so that void will be substantial for them. So I like to remove the politics and the things that went on in the life and just look at it from a cosmic perspective.
Yeah, Nicole, when public figures are honest, as the Scott Adams has been, it allows real conversation about health, healing, and hope. So what's your reaction to his announcement?
I mean, his legacy with the Dilbert cartoon and that kind of thing is that of being a conversation starter, right? And sometimes a conversation finisher. Let's do that. But I think it's sad in that he felt like he needed to keep it private so he could have more normal moments without people attacking him. And that's the sad part. That's like where we are in a society. You can't even die in peace of people coming for you, right? But he makes a very human statement that I think gave everybody pause and kind of caught your breath, is that all of this is temporary. Live your best life while you have the moment. Don't put it off, because you may not get it tomorrow. You may not get it tomorrow. He says, I don't even know if he's going to make the summer, but in this moment, he's going to speak his piece. And I'm hopeful that Joe Biden has moments of clarity like that in between whatever health issues he's got going on, to enjoy his grandchildren, to enjoy his family and his friends. It's a tough situation when you lose someone who's close to you, whether they're old or young. It like Tyrone says, it has a hole in your heart, and it takes a very long time for that hole to kind of heal up. But you'll feel it for the rest of your days. Joe Biden, for all of his faults and gaffes, and there are a lot of faults and a lot of gaffes, is still very much a human being. And all of us should be able to relate to someone suffering, because ultimately we're all human. Democrat or Republican, makes no difference.
Yeah. Shelley, we had a viral video, one of our first viral videos, where we reacted to Scott Adams when he was talking about that he wasn't going to help the Black community anymore. He didn't want to, because if Black people were coming after white men. You guys should go check it out. It was really good. Now to hear him going through this, talking about he may not make it through the summer. What is your reaction to that?
Of course, I send him, I don't want to say condolences because he's not deceased, yet, if you will, but I will send him my heart thoughts and my prayers to him, even to Joe Biden. But this is what I want to say. I hate that it takes celebrities to bring these real life, real time, real people events. And then we all get, contemplative. When in reality, we probably see people every day, maybe our neighbors, maybe our coworkers, that we don't even necessarily stop to give a second moment's thought. Right. Mm-hmm. And these people are right here, real time, real life, real people in our lives on a day. It takes celebrities. I hate that. I just hate that part of it. I'm not lessening Scott Adams's disease or his trials. I'm not lessening Biden's trials and tribulations that he's going through. But I just hate that we seem to get this. Maybe it's part of the celebrity-itis that when a celebrity says it, that makes it more real. When these are people we don't even know. We don't know them at all, but we do know people in real life, in real time, that we may not even give a second look at just because maybe they don't look right. Or I don't like the petty stuff. I don't like him. I don't like her. I hate that it has to get to this point in order for us to become a little bit more contemplative.
Well, prostate cancer is one of the most common cancers in men, but far too often it's caught late. So Adam's situation is a sobering reminder for men, especially over 50, to get screened early. Prevention and early detection saves lives. I actually personally, as you mentioned, Shelley, know 3 people who currently are struggling with prostate cancer. So, it is something that is it probably affects many of us here. Cancer in general affects so many of us. I think someone in the chat said that they had a family member struggling with cancer currently. And so my thoughts and prayers go out to you. Oh, okay. I see here Kim Plans, yes, she says my husband has stage 4 cancer. I try to be mindful. Opinions, views, perspective can change. Life and death are concrete. Humanity is important. Amen. So we definitely are. We're thinking about you and praying for your strength and your comfort, and hopefully as you guys work through this. Yeah. We have a super chatter here. Sick Lid with the $5 super chat. Thank you so much. You. All right. Orlando with the $5 super sticker. Thank you. Thank you so much, folks. As you all come in, please hit that like button. It really helps to get this video out to as many people as possible. And that is our goal, to get this out. If you guys can see, we also have merch. I have on one of the t-shirts, not black, not white, American. Don't let them divide us. You can get this on our merch store, on our website at popandpoliticslive.com/shop. You just click on the shop if you get to popandpoliticslive.com, and you can click on shop. We have this in different colors. We have mugs. We have it in hoodies. And we so you can go in there and check it out. Great way to push a message out that's positive, and to show you're a patriot. You love this country. All right. So and that is our Cash App. So if you all want to if you want to donate, if you have it in your heart and your means to donate, that's a great way to do it there at Be More Pop Stars. All right. So moving right along, again, this Biden diagnosis was breaking news. This is JD Vance responding in clip 5.
Speaking of Joe Biden, sir, do you have any thoughts on his diagnosis?
Yeah, look, I mean, first of all, of course, we wish the best for the former president's health. And, it sounds pretty serious, but hopefully he makes the right recovery. Like I will say, whether the right time to have this conversation is now or at some point in the future, we really do need to be honest about whether the former president was capable of doing the job. And that's no, that you can separate the desire for him to have the right health outcome with the recognition that whether it was doctors or whether there were staffers around the former president, I don't think he was able to do a good job for the American people. And that's not politics. That's not because I disagreed with him on policy. That's because I don't think that he was in good enough health. In some ways, I blame him less than I blame the people around him. And why didn't the American people have a better sense of his health picture? Why didn't the American people have more accurate information about what he was actually dealing with? This is serious stuff. And this is the guy who carries around the nuclear football for the world's largest nuclear arsenal. This is not child's play, and we can pray for good health, but also recognize that if you're not in good enough health to do the job, you shouldn't be doing the job. Okay. Thank you guys.
Have a safe trip. See ya.
You too.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I honestly feel sorry for Biden. I really do. I know he, definitely has a role to play in this, but he's clearly out of his mind. And I blame the people around him that continue to lie, and they continue to lie. And they kept this away from the American people. Mm-hmm. What's your thoughts on that, Shelley? What JD Vance said?
Of course, I think we said before many times, all of this stuff needs to come out. Not 50 years. It needs to come out relatively soon in the near future. The people around him are more culpable, more complicit. They are the ones who wanted power. I don't even think that he knew coming or going, day or night. He probably had sundown syndrome, all kinds of things going on with Biden. Mm-hmm. Nevertheless, not to mention even the prostate cancer. The people wanted power, prestige, position. They wanted to maintain and increase whatever opportunities they already had. There was never enough for them. The fact that they put this man in this position, and again, there's no love lost from me for Biden as Biden, as the senator, as the president, if you will, for policies. But beyond that, the people who were handling him, they all need to be handled.
Oh, absolutely. We have a super chatter here, folks. Thank you so much. All right, let's see here. Robin with a $20 super chat says all experts say party knew he was ill for a while, but still wanted their leader to run anyhow. DNC comes first. They don't care. Wicked party. Yep.
Agreed.
You said it. Yeah.
You take a look at what happened with John Fetterman when he was first elected. He couldn't even put a sentence together. I mean, his wife was like mama bear all over. Don't ask him no questions. Don't get next to him. Don't talk to him. You know, all of that. And the party rallied around the fact that this man is sitting U.S. senator, the most deliberative body we have in this nation, could not conjugate a verb, and they were okay with it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, there are some people that are pushing back against this, what we're saying on here. And that takes us to The View. So Whoopi Goldberg was on The View today, and she says there's no way Biden would hide a cancer diagnosis from the public. Take a look. This is clip 6.
It's what they're saying. What they're saying is, you know, there are 3 ways they can treat it. His age will have a lot to do with how they do it. But I want to point out to people that had this been the case while he was president, there's no way you wouldn't have known.
Right.
Because he would have had to have these treatments. So this is not something he was carrying around or that he was hiding. And as Anna said, we know about his struggles. We know about his struggles, and now we know about this one. And I just, again, want to commend the people who cut their tongues off and said, get well soon. You know, and because I think that it did something for me.
Yeah. And the people who didn't cut their tongues off, I have a place where they can put them.
Well, I'm not giving them any sun at all. Yeah. That's why I'm not even mentioning them. That's why I'm saying the ones who did it, who were shocking. When you read the names, it's like, oh,
yeah.
You said something good. Oh my God.
A little empathy. Yeah.
It turns out that you have a heart. So there is reason to have faith. There is reason. We actually all are suffering together in many ways. So we're not alone. And that's a good thing. We'll be right back. It's what there's.
Whatever. This is the same woman who called questions about Biden's health right-wing attacks for years. Now she wants us to pretend the cover-up never happened. Shelley, what are your thoughts on that?
First of all, she's wrong because she said, had this happened, we would not have not known. No, we do. We did not know because it's coming out now. So that her point is already disproven out of her own mouth. She's not even straight on that. That's number one. I don't know what she's talking about, whoever these people are on their tongues being cut off. I guess she's talking to the journalists and the media.
She's talking about Trump. I think she's talking about Trump because Trump came out and he just said, he wishes the best for President Biden. I think she's talking about Trump.
Okay, I thought she was talking about the journalists who are telling all now and saying that they didn't know. Now I thought that's what she's referring to at one time. But look, he was just on their show 2 weeks ago, and he had that Parkinsonian stare, and you know that stone kind of face look. And The View, they seem to not have seen that when he was there. They didn't see that. They missed all of that. They were so doe-eyed and all up in his ass, trying to make the Republicans, conservatives, Trump look bad, and he was sitting right there in front of him. So for Whoopi to say that we would not have known, or we would have known about it, no, we wouldn't have, because they covered it up. I don't even think he knew. I think they kept it from him because of his dementia. I think his dementia came first. That's just my never to be humble opinion. So they kept it from him. They realized they didn't really have to tell him because he might not even understand it anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're right. They probably told him he has chlamydia and it burns when he pees. Who knows?
I was thinking it's getting a little late. I was thinking it's getting a little late. When are we going to veer off into
down the rabbit hole? Down the rabbit hole.
Go ahead.
It does a little bit more with that with prostate cancer, just for the facts.
But
right. Nicole, what's your thoughts?
That I noticed in watching the video is everyone has on like a sleeveless situation, a sheer summer shirt, Whoopi has on a full coat, socks, sandals, and she looks like she's lost about 20 to 30 pounds. You can see the old lady neck peeking through here.
Oh, so, she lost a lot more than that.
She
lost a whole human.
Lost a lot of weight.
There's something going on. I hope that she's okay. I hope that she's well. As much as I disagree vehemently with her positions, and I think that Barbara Walters is somewhere rolling in her grave at what they've done to the show. However,
well, she said she already acknowledged publicly she took Ozempic. She's taking Ozempic.
She needs to, let me tell you. Oh, me and these people.
She lost a lot of muscle. She lost a lot of muscle mass.
Yeah, she did. She said she's taking Ozempic. That's what she said.
I think you're right, KJ. Yeah.
It is just outrageous. I mean, outrageous behavior with people in these injectables. You're making yourself sick to fit a stereotype that your body was never designed to fit. It is just ridiculous.
And you're still not going to meet the stereotype. The stereotype is going to keep changing.
So now she's got the old lady neck and she's freezing to death in a room where everybody else has got on damn near nothing on. You know, they got on their suntan clothes. This is ridiculous. Absolutely crazy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Tyrone, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, you know, she obviously, and this is no surprise, doesn't understand how cancer metastasizes. She doesn't grasp the time it takes for that to happen. You don't make, you know, unless you weren't paying any attention to it at all, which I find very hard to believe.
No way.
Not just from the standpoint of him being president,
right?
But, you know,
human being, yeah.
Right. Okay, so I mean, you know, if you have like an IQ meter and you aim it at that table, you're not going to register more than 70. You know, these are just people who do not understand how the world works. All of their careers, they've been, you know, treated like they can do no wrong. These are fake people, okay, all the way down the line. They don't even have much of an entertainment. I've never found Whoopi Goldberg funny. Okay. I watched about 30 seconds of The Color Purple and I'm like, what the hell is this? Okay. So I don't even understand how she gained national appeal. They got the fake Republicans on there. Okay. It's just garbage. It's just total garbage. The show. Yeah. And look, that's where we are as America. It's an idiocracy for the most part these days, where you can get these harpies to spout off on a daily basis, and then people in the audience and across America clap like seals. It's just ridiculous.
It really is. It really is. And speaking of seals, old seals, move on to Bernie Sanders. So he was on a podcast with, I forget the gentleman's name. He's a comedian recently, and he really was going against the Democrat establishment. Take a look. This is clip 7.
We have a question we want to ask about what happened to you in 2016 with this Bernie Bros movement, where your followers are seeing they have a racism problem, a misogyny problem. Do you think that's a super PAC thing behind that?
That was the Democratic establishment. That was the.
Wow. Okay.
You know, that was just, they were sitting there. We had a lot of young people. We had people of color, and you know, they create this kind of myth with the help of the corporate media and all that stuff.
You know, it's kind of interesting to that note is during this election, the podcast space, which the Democrats largely avoided, they feel had some influence in the election, and they started to label us the podcast bros and said that we were sexist and we were racist and bigoted. It's almost like it's the exact same strategy to get you out of there.
Yeah, that's what the liberal elite China does.
So he pretty much laid it out, said the Democrat establishment really sunk his campaign. I remember it like it was yesterday. I said the same thing. You all know that's sort of when I decided to change parties at that time. Nicole, our Politico on the panel, what are your thoughts on what he said? Is this a coming out moment, or do you think more and more people are going to leave the Democrat Party over these lies that are being uncovered?
I don't know if they'll leave the party, but I think the way they vote will change. I think, you know, the party no longer has moral high ground. that they, for so many decades, said that we are the moral people and we're the people who care. And if you're not a Democrat, you're a heartless, soulless person. Well, we're seeing all of that was just a bunch of hooey, right? They were flat out lying, and there's nowhere for them to hide with it. Now, Bernie's election, he's absolutely right. Everything he said is absolutely right. They did not like him. They did not like his politics. They did not pick him. But look at how the worm has turned. Everything he ran on now is so mainstream for the Democrat Party that he seems like, Newt Gingrich in a room full of his old self. It is ridiculous how quickly that party has gone so far left that Bernie Sanders looks like he's a moderate. Mm-hmm. It is ridiculous. I also love the part where they said that the Democrats refuse to come to the podcast space. That's not true. We just kicked their butts. That's what that is.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Because what's that kid's name? Harry Sisson. They tried to gin up a lot of excitement over him, and it just ended up being weird and cringe, and it didn't work because they're inauthentic. Bernie, Bernie is good for one thing. He proves that in this great country, anybody, even a socialist, can become very wealthy. And I remind you, he used to say he used to castigate millionaires and billionaires. He doesn't mention millionaires anymore because he is one.
Yeah,
he's several houses. He just got on these private jets and he was confronted about it. And he said, "I'm not going to apologize for what do you want me to do? Fly with the American public?" So Bernie is exhibiting the typical behavior of a member of the Politburo who will tell you that you've got to live communally while he lives the high life. That's all he is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
What are your thoughts on that, Shelley?
Yeah, someone wrote something about James Carville, and I was thinking that James Carville tried to tell the Democratic Party what to do. I mean, James Carville only helped Bill Clinton get elected twice. I mean, come on, right? So, I mean, he does know a little bit something about getting somebody elected to the presidency. He tried to tell them, but no, he was too middle of the road, if you will, for them. He was a little bit too moderate or too right of the left turn that they had taken. So how they lost. Bernie Sanders knows how to play the game. Like, you're right, Tyrone. He's, I guess, a multi-millionaire, maybe a billionaire. I don't know. But he does know how to play the game. And then he plays the game, but he looks the part of appealing to the little guy. How that escapes people, I don't know. I don't understand it. But he plays it very well. He may run again. I mean, he's 80-something, if I'm not mistaken, right? He's already 80, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he is.
He may try to run again. I mean, he looks, relatively speaking, he looks much healthier than Biden does, right? Relatively speaking, and he's still coherent and things like that. But he does know how to get over. He's above and beyond, but almost like Elizabeth Warren. Was it Pocahontas? Almost like her. She's a multimillionaire, but she does have an appeal of people that she appeals to, making it sound like, oh, I'm on your side, I'm one of you. That is the perfect playbook. And hell, this time Bernie may just win the nomination.
I think Bernie is far. Oh, am I muted? Can you guys hear me? Okay. Yeah. I think Bernie is very different than the rest of the Democrats. I think that Bernie Sanders is believe it or not, is authentic. I think he believes what he says, and he is a quintessential communist. The communists, they push this type of healthcare for all and equal pay and all this type of stuff, and then they live life on the hog. So this is exactly what he's doing and exactly what he's believing. So I think that's the appeal for him. He has said the same thing for years. And he believes it. He's not trying to placate to the establishment Democrats or, people out his electorate. He's going to say what he feels, and it's the same behind closed doors and in front of the public.
And this is why he believes it, because in his life, the government has done everything for him.
Right.
This is a man who has never held a real job. Okay. This is a man whose first wife left him because he showed no ambition in terms of making enough money to feed the family even. Okay. He's always had this communist ideal and dream in his head. The man honeymooned in Moscow.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking Russia's Moscow, the Soviet Union's Moscow. Okay. So from his perspective, from his life experience, the government has done everything for him. So he believes that that's what the government should do for everyone.
Right. And he's a what's they call it? The bourgeoisie. Yeah. He's going to be rich. And he believes the rest of us are the worker bees.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Folks, as you guys come in, please hit that like button. We have over 300 people watching tonight. We certainly appreciate you all, but we need you to hit the like button. We want to get this video out to as many people as possible. And this next segment is very important. So a new study cites the failure of the abortion pill, mifepristone, requiring additional intervention to complete the abortion process. RFK Jr. says it may not be safe enough for continued use, and the libs, the left, is losing it. Nicole, what are your thoughts on this story? Again, I mean, the study, the media wants to bury, but it's a peer-reviewed study that reveals this drug, often marketed as a simple solution, has a failure rate that demands surgical intervention or secondary drugs.
Yeah, it's an interesting concept, because the Dems who've said anything about that particular study are saying, oh, it's political, it's political, it's political. What they're saying is that the study considered not only people who've had to have an intervening medical procedure to complete the abortion, but also people who wound up in the emergency room, right? This study counts them. Previous studies funded by Planned Parenthood and those likes did not include people who went to the emergency room for whatever reason. So what they're saying was, well, if a woman took the 2 abortion pills, one pill kills the baby, the other pill helps you to expel the products of conception. If she goes to the emergency room and they fix whatever it is, put a Band-Aid on it and send her home, we should not count that as an adverse effect. Maybe she was not feeling well. She was, thought the heavy bleeding was an issue, whatever it was, but we shouldn't count it in our studies. So when they took a look at all of the data, and this is insurance data, this is not, a survey of people who've had this, the insurance data proved that it's almost 11%, not the less than 1% previously taught. So RFKJ is right in looking at this and saying, well, wait a minute, this might not be the answer to this. And as you can imagine, Planned Parenthood and the likes of people who are pro-abortion are losing their minds. They are absolutely losing it. The Dems love these pills because they had 2 of them dancing at their last convention in Chicago.
Oh my goodness. And Shelley, so instead of acknowledging women's real health risks, progressives are attacking RFK Jr. and trying to discredit the study altogether. They claim to care about bodily autonomy and women's health, yet they're defending a drug with known complications. Why isn't this out more? Why aren't more people enraged about this?
A couple reasons. Number one, because it's abortion. You're not supposed to say anything negative about abortion. It's all supposed to be safe, rare, and what's the other one? I forget whatever
legal, safe, and rare.
Yeah, legal, safe, and rare. Right. So you're not supposed to say anything. That's number one. Number two, many people either don't know or they kind of underestimate or undermine the severity of possible adverse reactions that can occur from these drugs, the mifepristone and the misoprostol. So they do, minimize the adverse reactions. The common, quote unquote, common expectations are cramping, bleeding. Those are common, but the adverse reactions typically have to do with an incomplete abortion, which can cause sepsis, or infection and sepsis in the long run or the very short time, because it doesn't take long to develop sepsis. But there are also other allergic reactions, things like that. You may not know that you are allergic to one or both of these drugs. So the study, I haven't read the study. I would like to read that study. But what the opponents are arguing is that, oh yeah, well, they included all these people. Well, the question that should be asked is, why did these people go to the emergency room anyway? That's why. So that needs to be teased out. What was the reason of their going? I will bet you dimes to donuts. Most of them, and just my I don't know, experience, if you will, my knowledge, most of them will have gone to the emergency room for excessive bleeding, excessive cramping beyond what they may think is normal for them, and an incomplete abortion, meaning that products of the conception are still left in them. And so their body, their uterus literally is trying to cramp even more to push it out, but it just can't get out. So then they need another intervention, usually a D&C.
Yeah. Tyrone, did you ever think we would get to this point where people are taking drugs to abort their babies? When you think about it, this is bizarre.
You know, it goes back to the conversation we were having a few minutes ago about the brevity of life. I think more people need to become familiar with the science of conception and how miraculous it is. Okay. The other thing is, you know, this is par for the course with the Democrats. They don't care about women at all. Exactly. You see it in the way that they have promoted men who want to pretend to be women over authentic, natural women. You see it in the fact that, you know, when it comes to this guy, Garcia, the Maryland man, beating the hell out of his wife, but the Democrats went to the wall for this guy. Okay.
Right under the carpet.
Democrats have repeatedly proved these. And look, any baby boomers out there, look, this is the problem James Carville has. He has not come to the realization that it's not Bill Clinton's party anymore. The new Democrats, they don't care about women, and they are a death cult. All right. They don't want you to be able to protect yourself in your own home. Okay. They want you to have this. Look, at the convention, they had mobile abortion and vasectomy clinics set up at a political convention. Not passing out pamphlets, okay? Come in here and get an abortion or a vasectomy at a political. This is what they are, okay? So the every week we profile some new depth that they plumb. This is who they are. This is why they cannot continue to win elections, because they're no longer a political group. They're a demonic death cult.
Right. And it's not, like you mentioned, it's not Bill Clinton's party. It's Hillary Clinton's. It's Hillary Clinton's party, because this is the stuff that she champions. And speaking of, not only are they championing that, they championing the illegals, illegal immigration. This is what they continue to push. And that takes us to this next clip. A Florida woman has racked up $1.8 million in civil fines after ignoring a deportation order for over 20 years. But now President Biden is in office and he is not playing around. Take a look at this. This is clip 11.
After not appearing at a hearing, but she never left, I asked her why she did not go to the hearing.
Yo le dije al oficial, yo no tengo familia.
I told the immigration officer I don't have any family in this country or a specific place to stay. She told me she entered the U.S. through California.
Pero en ningún momento me llegaron ningún documento.
I never received any document, and they did not know where I was going to be. This month she received this letter at her house in South Florida. She has been fined for more than $1.82 million.
It says that the government could fine an individual, an undocumented individual, daily $500.
Michelle Sanchez is Maria's attorney. She showed us the document Maria received.
They're supposed to say on the date that she was advised, and this is blank because they never advised her of the penalties.
Okay.
So that's going to be my argument.
The 1952 Act has historically rarely been enforced, but in February, the Trump administration announced it will penalize people living in the U.S. illegally under that act.
What she has is an order of removal in her absence.
Is that still accumulating even today?
Yes. It's
So
still
that figure
accumulating.
is increasing.
It could increase. For me, that is absolutely nuts.
Sanchez filed a motion to reopen her client's case last year under a policy of the Biden administration, giving ICE attorneys the discretion to reopen cases and lift removal orders. Have you ever been arrested?
Nunca.
When I asked her if she would voluntarily return to her home country,
Me dolería tanto dejar mis hijos.
it would be extremely painful to be separated from my children.
All right. So, Shelley, is this harsh, or is it what happens when you break the law and defy it for decades? She had time. Did she make? Is it her choice?
I'm sorry. I have zero sympathy. I don't have any sympathy. I'm like Tom Homan. Take the kids with you. You can go with the kids. Take them all with you. You want her to be separated. I don't want her to be separated from her children because I don't want no little bastard children that I gotta pay for and still gotta pay for. I'm sorry. I'm tired of paying for everybody else's stuff. I keep saying that. Take the kids with you, pack up however much you want to take, and go home or whatever country she's from. I have zero sympathy. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, Nicole, breaking news out today. The Supreme Court just backed Trump's move to revoke the temporary protected status of hundreds of thousands of migrants. Can you talk about that and then how that may connect with this case?
Yeah, the Venezuelans, they are on deck now. It's a part of that CBP app that we talked about maybe 3-4 months ago that Joe Biden had, where all you had to do was just put a name in there and you were good to stay in the United States. Well, Kristi Noem is saying, no, sir, absolutely not. And you're going to have to go. And I stand by her on that. We don't know enough about them to allow them to run, 500,000 strong through our nation. What we do know about these Venezuelans is they're incredibly violent. They've taken over apartment buildings. They fight with the police, all the kind of drama that we don't want here. And since most of that nation has been, moved to other parts of the world, there's really no reason for them not to go back to their home nation. So asylum claims, I keep saying this, they can do it from their home country. You can Zoom on in and talk to an ICE attorney or a judge. You don't need to be here for that. Now, this particular woman, one, you've been here 20 years and you can't speak English.
Right.
Nunca.
And so any sympathy I would have had for her off the top is long gone, right? Because it tells me that you didn't come here to assimilate to our beautiful culture. You didn't come here to be a great American. You came here to be a part of those people who live in the United States, send a little bit of pocket change back home, to the family who lives there. But you're here for the money. You're here to build the system. I don't know, why she's crying about this fine, because she's never going to pay it. She'll leave the nation. She'll come back as somebody else, is what they do all the doggone time. However, I'm very interested in with this attorney who apparently just got on the scene, took a look at those papers, and she was like, oh, you could tell the look on her face. She was like, oh, shit. Oh, shit.
You got to pay up front.
You're right.
That's what they do. They use a lot of these illegals. So they make these big plans and say that they're going to help them fix up their case and they're going to make them legal when they're actually just taking their money and they know that they have no chance of becoming legal. But I mean, Tyrone, these Democrats will scream about this Florida woman's fines and the TPS ruling like it's cruelty, but they're just mad the law is being enforced. What's the real agenda?
Look, the real agenda is to import voters. That's why the Democrats are so pissed. They're not in it for asylum or bring me your, what's the poem on the Statue of Liberty, whatever it says. They're in it for voters. And that has become abundantly clear, because otherwise they would actually respect what Barack Obama said and did in terms of immigration. He's still the deporter in chief. Mm-hmm. Now, this woman, to those who may think that she's being treated harshly, I would encourage you to cross into Mexico illegally And you will find out the definition of harsh. And let me tell you what, they won't be writing you letters, okay, and fining you. They're going to put you in prison. And they don't differentiate. You're not going to go to a country club prison just because you crossed the border illegally. You're going to go to the standard Mexican prison, okay? So, no, it's not being treated harshly at all. She violated the law. Like Nicole said, she obviously is not too keen on assimilating, because after 20 months, you should be speaking English fluently. Yeah. Okay, if you're immersed in it. She did have a nice backyard, though. But yeah, you got to go, lady. Okay. I mean, we cannot continue to play this game, because another aspect of it, it's extremely insulting to the millions of people that immigrate legally to this country.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We have some super chatters here, folks. Thank you all so much. We certainly appreciate you. Let's see here. Teresa Raimundo with the $20 super chat. All right. Says, running behind in the conversation, I feel sad for the pain that Biden is going through. His cover up is unforgivable. His current mental capacity is not relevant to us. We deserved a cogent and engaged president. I agree 110%, Teresa. Absolutely. All right, folks. And again, as you all come in, please hit that like button. Hit that like button. It really helps to get our video out to more people. We want as many people as possible to see this broadcast. So hit that like button and subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, what are you waiting for? Please hit the like button and subscribe. So yeah,
Coltrane, she had raised beds and a perfectly manicured lawn. Junior Coltrane.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I agree with all of you. These rulings show that the law still matters, and Trump's policies are still fighting for America, even after all this. He's still fighting. And that takes us to the next case. Speaking of, these laws that matter, maybe the law was not fairly given to this case, Tory Lanez. So, not sure if many of you are following the case of Tory Lanez. He is a rapper who many are saying was put in jail incorrectly. He was put in jail. He shouldn't be there. Take a look at this next clip. This is clip 12.
As Tory Lanez recovers in a hospital after a prison stabbing attack, his father and supporters gathered today to demand his release.
The former rapper was convicted of shooting Megan Thee Stallion. Fox 7's Christy Fajardo tells us about the claim of new evidence.
Bringing it to light now was made necessary by the events of this week.
Just days after rapper Tory Lanez, also known as Daystar Peterson, was attacked in prison, his attorneys are calling on Governor Newsom to pardon or commute his sentence, insisting they have new evidence Lanez didn't shoot superstar Megan Thee Stallion, but it was instead her former best friend, Kelsey Harris. And they say Harris's one-time bodyguard, Bradley James, was spurred by conscience to come forward.
Mr. James informed Unite the People that he was a witness to the conversation Ms. Harris had, where she stated she had the gun, she fired it 3 times. In essence, Mr. Peterson never shot anybody.
Walter Roberts says the statement aligns with another witness who saw 2 women fighting. Lanez is serving a 10-year sentence after being convicted of shooting Stallion in the Hollywood Hills back in 2020.
All right. So this case has gotten national headlines. Before we get into it, I want to acknowledge our super chatter here. Teresa with a $5 super chat again says, ladies and Tyrone, hearing different opinions makes for smart conversation and shows that despite a different viewpoint, we can still come together. Yes, and we do that a lot on here, Teresa. That is so right. Thank you so much for your super chat and your comment. All right. I want to get into this because this, again, as I mentioned, has captured national attention, this Tory Lanez case. I want to start off with you, Tyrone. As they mentioned in this clip we just played, new evidence coming out from this, I believe he was a bodyguard, saying that he that Tory didn't shoot Meg Thee Stallion. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I believe that this is enough for Gavin Newsom to, if not fully pardon him, then release him pending this new evidence and possibly a new trial. Listen, I would rather see, literally, I would rather see 100 guilty men go free than one innocent person be imprisoned. Okay. Now, this guy's been stabbed multiple times. Both lungs collapsed. His musical career is probably over as a result of that. Meg Thee Stallion. A stallion is a male horse, by the way. I don't get it. The Meg Thee Stallion.
She's a rapper too, just for you guys who may not know.
She performed at one of Kamala Harris's many celebrity events. But Meg Thee Stallion testified. She took an oath and took the stand and testified that he shot her. If that is not true, then she committed perjury and she needs to pay the price.
Yeah. And I was researching this earlier. So her best friend, who her name is Kelsey, she never testified that that Tory shot Meg. Is that right? Because I see here text messages from Tory's assistant, which is Kelsey Harris, Megan's former best friend and assistant, sent a text shortly after the shooting that read, "Tory shot Meg." This was also put forward in court, as part of evidence against Tory. Also, Tory called Megan's friend Kelsey from jail shortly after the incident. In the recorded call, he apologized repeatedly, sounding heavily intoxicated and concerned about what had happened. He never explicitly said, "I shot her," but jurors interpreted it as an admission of guilt. Nicole, what is your thought on this?
This whole episode just kind of, it makes you shake your head at what's going on at the judiciary level, right? When we take a look at cases like this, where there's really not enough evidence to convict anybody of anything, they gave the two women immunity right off the top. The best friend, who likely is the shooter, has immunity.
That's Kelsey.
That's Kelsey. Kelsey has immunity.
So
they went after Tory, and Meg says, well, Tory shot me. And it always seemed interesting to me. How do you know he's the one who shot you when you guys were all drunk, you were all partying, you got shot in the foot, and you didn't even get shot in your dominant foot? So it tells me that you weren't looking dead ahead at the shooter, that you may have been askew, right? So there's so many things that didn't make sense when the case was going on. But from the onset, it was this Me Too movement. We're going to lock his ass up right off the top. So he really did not have, quote unquote, his day in court. But this goes back to my point earlier about what's going on in the judiciary. They've got these Menendez brothers who've admitted to killing their parents. Flat out said, we did it. We'd do it again. If they were alive, we'd kill them twice. These guys will likely get out on parole because of the Netflix documentary. I mean, we need our judiciary to actually follow the letter of the law, use discretion and discernment when it's necessary. None of that happened in this case. They made a decision that this guy was guilty from the onset, and they went well out of their way to make sure that nobody else was a suspect. However, he did have a defense team, and his defense team didn't do that great of a job either. So there's a little bit of play on both sides that can happen, but I know that there is a significant push to have Gavin Newsom at least give him another trial, at least a chance at a trial to prove his innocence with a better team. Lots of people are working on that for him.
Yeah, Shelley. So we know she was shot because there was bullet fragments in her foot. But the gunshot residue was found on both Tory and Kelsey Harris. But Tory's DNA was found on the gun's magazine. So though not conclusively on the trigger. So the defense tried to argue that Kelsey may have fired the weapon, but no solid motive or evidence supported that theory. So do you think this guy got a fair trial?
I honestly don't know. It doesn't sound like he did, since they're coming out with this new evidence. Now, granted, Nicole made a point. All of them, it seems to be they were drinking, and I'm guessing I would, in my never to be humble opinion, there's probably some drug in there too. Okay, so add all that together. As far as the gunpowder residue being on both of them, it also depends on the proximity. So if they were really close, then the gunpowder could be on however many people, right? They didn't have enough evidence, it sounds like, to say who pulled the trigger. He could have touched the magazine earlier. I don't know whose gun it was. I don't know. I mean, maybe that came out. But there's so many factors that the defense, it sounds like they could have brought up during the trial. Now, he's been stabbed, what, twice?
No, it was 10 times, wasn't it?
Yeah. No, I mean, two separate times, two separate occasions, I mean, right?
No, I think he was stabbed once 10 times.
Oh, okay. Okay. So, but he's been right. So he's been stabbed, whatever, jailhouse brawls, or I don't know. But I think at the very least, he deserves a second look at this evidence. Which I want to go to a secondary point. When we were not so much about the case itself, but when we talked about Diddy last week, when the trial first started, I was making the point that, what if he gets off? Because juries are just made up of human beings. That's what I said. Juries are made up of human beings. Courthouses, the court process, they're all human beings, and everybody has a bias. You're right, Nicole. This was in the height of the Me Too or somewhere in that time frame. So everybody's going to have a bias one way or the other. And maybe in today's age, because of social media, because of all these movements coming so quickly, maybe people on juries don't really have that inclination to only look at the evidence and compare it to the law. Maybe they really are swayed by social media, however much they're supposed to be sequestered or not look at it. It happens.
Absolutely.
I'm not sure if it was a jury trial, though. Was it a jury trial?
I'm not sure, but I can tell you that people are saying is that it's a big coincidence that when his team reached out to Megan's team and Kelsey's team to let them know that there's new evidence in the case, the very next day he's stabbed out by a career criminal.
Yeah.
Yes, he did have a jury trial.
Okay.
Most murder cases are going to be jury trial. 99.9% of them.
Well, Representative Anna Paulina Luna is really pulling to get this Gavin Newsom to take a look at this. She was out today and talking about the case and saying that this needs to be reviewed. She says, I'm calling on Governor Newsom to review Tory Lanez's case and issue a pardon. She is the Republican representative. She says his 10-year sentence was based on flawed evidence, political pressure, and prosecutorial bias. Justice must be blind, not driven by headlines. Free Tory Lanez. So looks like this is a lot of Republicans are actually getting behind this, which generally don't get into this kind of rap pop culture thing. So while we see the Democrats are rallying behind illegals, criminal illegals, we have Republicans are pushing for Americans that they feel have not been given justice.
And to Megan, what's her name? Megan, whatever, Thee Stallion. I'm quote unquote to her credit. If they were all drinking and drugging and whatever else, and like what they in the middle of the street fighting, it could have been so much confusion. Of course, getting shot is already traumatic in itself. She may not know.
She's lost credibility. She was caught lying already.
Okay. If I don't know, I'm not going to say Shelly E did this.
Well, but I get you with that. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and then the other thing is, this is also a big time cautionary tale for young folk. Be very judicious about who you hang around, number one. And number two, now we see the difference between the lyrics and the real world, okay? People get out here and they rap about all this, I'm tough, all this criminality and whatnot. But then when you go to prison, you get stabbed up 10 times, both lungs collapsed, and then you got to go back into the exact same environment once they deem that you are fit to go back. Okay, not fun at all. There's nothing glamorous about prison. It is not a rite of passage in any way, shape, or form. Be very careful about the company that you keep.
Yep.
Yeah, you're right. And I correction there. Thank you so much, Trace Chocolate City. Tory Lanez is not a U.S. citizen. He is a Canadian citizen. He's not non-citizen status. He has non-citizen status. So his felony conviction in the U.S. opens him up to potential deportation. I think he's he in? No, he's in jail here. He's in jail in the UK.
No,
Huh?
he's
in California.
Okay.
Yeah, he's
right,
in jail
because Gavin Newsom. Okay. So they don't automatically deport them then when they if they're not a U.S. citizen?
No, you committed the crime or were convicted of the crime.
A capital felony.
Right. But when you get out, then
he still can be deported because of the criminal activity that may have been going on. He still can be deported. But if he did not shoot her, thankfully nobody was murdered. But if he did not shoot her, then they do need to let him out. If he truly was not guilty of that, then that's a flawed system. That's a flawed charge.
And I'm sure he'd rather be in Canada than in a California prison.
Thank you.
Right. Yeah. All right. Well, that does it for us tonight, folks. Thank you so much. Thank you to all of our moderators in the chat. You guys are awesome. Just driving the chat and getting people to hit that like button, keeping the conversation going. Shout out to the S-Files. Shout out to all of you guys. Who else we have there? Who is a moderator? I believe it's just S-Files tonight. But you guys, you know who you are. Also, Allie, you're always there, keeping it going. Yanni, all you guys. Of course, Kung Fu CJ, Tijuana Border Jumper. What were you saying?
No, I was saying you're right. Trace Chocolate, everybody. Yep.
Yeah, everybody. Thank you all so much. You guys make these Monday night lives so much more fun, and it's nice to, just be able to form a community with everybody. So it's almost like we family. So this is really cool. All right. So we will be back on Wednesday night, bringing you the latest in news and pop culture. Also tomorrow, please check out our sister channel here, the All American Talk Show. You can catch them at All American Talk. They are going to be breaking down the latest in the Jake Tapper book. And people have been saying this book does have some bombshell new information. So they're going to be breaking that down along with reacting to Megyn Kelly's interview of Jake Tapper. She's already said she is not going to let him off easy. She's going to ask him why now. Why all of a sudden, after you pushed back against everyone that talked about Biden's cognitive decline, she says she's going to really give it to him. So this is going to be good. So you don't want to miss it. Check out All American Talk right here on YouTube. All right. That does it for us tonight. Until next time, count your blessings and live a life of purpose. Good night.
Good night.